This is West Cowes, and we're starting our walk in the centre of the town where the Red Jet fast ferry comes across from Southampton. This is a view just across the entrance where the ferries come in on a beautiful bright sunny morning. We're walking in a westerly direction from West Cowes, and we're going to follow the line of the coast. Here you can see the Red Jet high-speed ferry coming in. Foot passengers only, foot passengers and cyclists. No cars on this one. It just takes 30 minutes to come out of Southampton and get across to West Cowes. Just leaving, you can see the Red Funnel ferry. This also leaves from Southampton and heads into East Cowes. This is the one that takes the vehicles. I've just gone a quarter mile from where we started, and now we're on the promenade. I'm just going to follow this as far as it goes. Nice clear signs at this point. Just under 1 mile and we've reached Egypt Point and Egypt Esplanade. There's a monument here dated 1894 and lists all the worthy members of the council that made this possible. One and a quarter miles and we've come to a signpost that says Gurnard. We're still walking along the front here. 1.5 miles in and we'll come to the Gurnard Sailing Club and some rather tired bathing huts on our left. It'll be interesting to see how good the signposting is here because the path is not clear from this point. Well, we picked a narrow little path around the sailing club and now we're on the sea wall here, and I'm told that this is passable at low tide, which it is today. You have to walk along the beach a bit, but at high tide you'd have to take the road up the hill and find the path once you pass the hill. There looks to be quite a few rocks on this beach that we'll have to pass by, but once we get past them apparently you can pick up the main path again. Just over 2 miles from the start, I've made my way along the beach and a brick sea wall, and when you can go no further there's a little footpath here that heads inland and there's some signs at the end there saying Coastal Path, so no problems. A little further on and we've turned into a path which runs up the hill here with a hedge and trees. We're only a few yards in from the sea. We're 3 miles from the start now, and for the past mile we've been gently climbing up a track through the trees, and we've reached the top, and now we have a gentle route down into this bay here. At the end of that bay, the signs turned us inland, and we're now heading up this gravel track and through some sort of holiday camp. According to the signs, we have just passed through Thornness Bay, site of special scientific interest. We're heading out of it now up to the campsite. There are some signs here on the holiday park to show you the route of the coastal path. Well, at 5 miles we've got ourselves out of the holiday campsite, and the signs have taken us across several fields, very muddy in places, and now we're rather the subject of curiosity, or were the subject of curiosity, with these animals. I've now gone back to feeding, so presumably I'm of little interest to them. And we're just following some yellow arrows which appear occasionally, not particularly well signposted, but we're not lost yet. Well, at the end of the fields, the signpost took us a right turn down this country road, and quarter of a mile down we come to the sign for Porchfield. We're clearly still on the correct path, because up there you can see the sign for the Coastal Path. So we'll carry on walking along this road through Porchfield. Well, Porchfield does have this little pub, the Sportsman's Rest. Could be a good stopping place later in the day. We're 6 miles in now, and we're still walking along this road that went through Porchfield. It's not a good experience. It's out of season, so there's not too much traffic, but having nearly been knocked down by a car just now, I can say it's not a good place to be walking. At 6.75 miles, at long last, there's a turning off of that road. That is not an experience I would recommend. The traffic is just moving too fast, and the standard of some of the driving is just appalling. Don't walk that part of the route. At 7.2 miles, we've got a turning off on the left here, off this little narrow lane we've been walking. And that lane has been fine. I've only seen one car. Anyway, we're turning left across the fields here, Newtown. We're now walking across a series of small meadows. It's very peaceful. No sign of the sea at the moment though. We've just passed through the hamlet of Newtown. Nothing to see. This apparently is the hall, the community hall, and claims that there's been a hall on this site since medieval times. That's as may be. Unfortunately, we're back on the road again, a road, and we still haven't seen the sea. We're just crossing an estuary here. Well, they put us back on a road again, no path either side, and cars, when they do come, speed past very close to you, and they call this a coastal path. And the road goes on. They've rather thoughtfully put a sign here for motorists to tell them there might be people walking on the road, but nowhere you can walk except on the road. Well, it's 8.5 miles now, and now there is a turning sign posted off this road to our right, so we'll see where that goes, but one suspects it'll probably go back onto a road quite quickly. This is Shalfleet, and they put us back on this busy main road again. Cars everywhere, and no real safe place to walk. And this is a so-called Coastal Footpath. Well, eventually we left that busy main road and they took us a turn across some fields, down through the fields. We're just crossing a little bridge here over this muddy, meandering estuary. Just a few yards further on, and you can see the water in the estuary. Very peaceful spot. And we're walking up this track here. Well, that's 10 miles gone from where we started in West Cowes. We're walking up this gravel track, through the trees, fairly uninteresting. And the remarkable thing is we still haven't seen the sea. We lost the sea back at 4 and a bit miles when we turned inland through the caravan park, and we haven't seen or heard even a glimpse of it for the next 6 miles. Yet it's called the Coastal Footpath. Very strange. Well, at 11.25 miles we've come out of the woods and we've come down to be beside this river estuary. Well, there in the distance, coming up to 12 miles, is the sea, which we haven't really seen since we left the coast at the caravan park of 4 and a few miles. There it is. Maybe we'll get a bit closer soon. Well, at 12.25 miles we've actually got back down to the sea again. That must be 8 miles where we haven't seen a glimpse of the sea, and we've just been walking along dreary roads and tracks. Let's hope we stay beside the sea from now onward. Just off the path here I've come to this memorial tucked away in the trees here. There is an inscription on the stone, but it's hard to read, so they put this plaque here with the details. This is in memory of David George Cox, aged 20, lost at sea, with his friend William Patrick Hope Pollock, aged 20, in 1932. And then we got Robin Murray Cox, aged 21, lost at sea, 1934. So that's 2 Cox boys and 1 Pollock, 1932 and 1934. Well, 14.6 miles. The last couple of miles have been pleasant enough, walking along country paths, through trees, up and down a few slopes, but only an occasional glimpse of the sea. I'm now looking across there, you can see the sea and just maybe able to make out Yarmouth, where the ferry comes in from Lymington. So we've only got a mile or 2 to go now. Well, at 15 miles the footpath has zigzagged its way down to the sea again, all too infrequently seen. And here we are, here's the sea, and just pan round for you. There's a small container ship over there and a yacht. You can see in the distance Lymington, and looking forward along the coast the way we're walking. 15 miles gone. With almost 16 miles gone, a flight of steps has taken me down onto the sea wall here, and at the end there we can see Yarmouth, so hopefully this wall will take me right the way in. You may just be able to see now the Wight ferry leaving Yarmouth, heads across to Lymington. And this is Yarmouth. Well, that's 16.5 miles done from West Cowes to Yarmouth along the Coastal Footpath. I can't say I'm going to recommend this walk to you. The first 4 miles, fine, nothing special but very pleasant. The last 5 miles, the same, nothing exceptional but a pleasant walk in the countryside. However, the middle 8 miles were absolutely appalling. Despite being called the Coastal Footpath, it was nowhere near the coast. You didn't even get a glimpse of the sea. It was boring. It wasn't a footpath. Most of it was along roads with no verges that you could escape the traffic, and the traffic sped past you with inches to spare. At one point, despite being pressed into the hedge, I actually made contact with the car as it passed at 30 miles an hour. Fortunately, there was no damage. The car must have known he'd hit me, but didn't stop. Another 2 inches and I would be recording this in hospital. My advice to you is don't do this walk, or don't do the middle 8 miles where the roads are involved. It is frankly dangerous, and it is wrong of the local council to advertise it as a coastal footpath. It is not. Anyway, I'm here to tell the story, and so till next time,